July 18th, garden update. So far so good. Everything's still going well. I've got a few new things planted. Got some beans planted. They've come up and they're starting to flower, so I think I'll be getting those soon. Ended up trimming my tomatoes back a little bit, or just the bottom leaves from the bottom up, just to get rid of some of that leaf spot or whatever it's called. But they're still going well. The Caigua's still doing good. Last time it was starting to yellow, but now that I've got a good watering regimen on it, I think that's what it was. They're a really water hungry plant. I went on vacation and I don't think they got watered quite as well as I was watering them. But now that I'm back in town, they're doing well, and they're actually starting to set fruit. This little bed here is doing great. Since the last video, I've trimmed back the basil, which has allowed that pepper plant to really take off, and it's allowed me to get some more Swiss chard in here, and they're starting to mature and get a little bit bigger. Originally I planted some seeds, the smaller ones there, and then I came back and put some transplants. I had some in my front square foot garden boxes, and they were crowded out, so I pulled some of those out and put here, and they've taken well, so that's good to know that this transplant well. The pepper plants, I was having problems with they were having plenty of leaves, but they weren't blooming and setting fruit enough, so I looked on the internet and I ended up putting some lime around the base, a little bit of tomato fertilizer, and some Epsom salt. And once I did that, the blooms really took off. The foliage really got dark green and lush, so I think that Epsom salt helped a lot from what it seems. The Swiss chard's doing good here. The kale's doing good. I yanked out one of these 4 kale plants because it was starting to just look kind of gnarly and nasty. But you can see all the stuff I've harvested. It's like a little jungle under here. So that red Russian dinosaur kale worked well. The dinosaur kale seems to have a tendency to burn out. The tips start browning eventually, especially if I don't get out here and pick it for a while. But once it gets too gnarly, I just pull them off and give it to my chickens. That BT has worked really well to keep the worms at bay too. These are the new beans coming up. This bed's going to work good for growing stuff, I think. Next year I'll try to do one about maybe a 4x10 or 5x10 there. But I might get some kind of fencing, because the rabbits are, pretty sure it's the rabbits, you can see down here these little ones, they got munched on. But they're coming back. But this area's got enough sun, I think, to grow some things. I did the peas earlier and it did well, so I think I'll continue to do some peas and kale and whatever else out in this little bed. The main bed, the bed's doing good. Kale's still doing good. It's so mature, it's actually starting to put off these little leaflets under here. You can see off of where I'll tear the other leaves off. So I'm getting some small little tender ones come off. The Caigua's doing good. It's going through a new phase here. So it's late July. So you would hope this thing would start putting some fruit off, and it actually is. Came out earlier and I found that fruit there for the first time. I don't know if that's focusing in or not. A little teeny fruit there. And they're actually all over the place. Where'd that one go? There's another one there. Right there. And all these little teeny ones, just a couple millimeters long. But I think this thing's going to be loaded up soon. All the flowers are doing good. I had some hummingbirds out here earlier. The bees are all over the place. Tomatoes, you can see where I pulled the bottom leaves off and got all that soil-borne fungus, whatever it's called. It's like a leaf spot. So I just pull up these leaves as they turn brown. But I've taken tons of tomatoes off of those plants. Got a couple monsters on here still that I'm gonna have to get off soon. That little rubber snake has worked wonders. The birds usually get all my tomatoes, and I usually try to do some netting, or I put this. You can see some remnants of that silver tape, but that silver tape just gets wrapped around everything. Once I put the snake out here, no more birds came out, or the birds stopped messing with the big tomatoes. So next year I'm gonna get me a handful of those snakes and put out here. They still get to my little cherry tomatoes for some reason though. Once I pulled up these, or pulled off the bottom leaves, I started getting some more sun under here, so went ahead and threw in some beets. So the beets are popping up there. So hopefully I'll have me some little extra beets under here. And in this area I put a couple amaranth seeds, so hopefully yeah, there's some amaranth popping up there. So hopefully before I put my fall stuff down, which is all fall stuff as long as it grows into the fall, but I might do some broccoli heads there. Still trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. There's a couple spots like here, that I could throw some broccoli heads, but they get so big I'm not sure. The beets have done great. It doesn't look like I've eaten any of them, but I've been eating at least one a week, and there's just that little teeny section there. You can grow a lot of beets, but instead of yanking them all up, I just wait until I want to eat them and pull them up and let them just store in the ground. I planted some carrots over here on the other side there. You can see the fence guarding them from the squirrels and birds. So hopefully I'll have some carrots popping up soon. The pepper plants, they put a lot of foliage on, but they really haven't done much on pepper production. Well, this one back here, the bell's got two big ones on it. I think it's putting another one on. So I think just having all the foliage at the bottom of it just has made it tough for them to set fruit. So next year if I do any pepper plants in this bed, I just need to make sure I clean the bottoms out a little bit and make sure there's no competition. The perennial arugula and buckhorn, mache, whatever it's called, have both done well, so we'll see how that comes back. They're both supposed to be perennials, so hopefully they come back. My Caigua over there is starting to set flowers and put fruit on, so I think it'll be just as good as this location. Once I realized that I needed more water on them, they started doing much better. They just require a lot of water. You can see the sunchokes popping up about 3 foot above them. So it's a good location for the sunchokes too if I want to keep doing those. I just put 2 nodules, or 2 tubers, one on each side, and it's giving me those 3 plants on each side, so it's going to be interesting to see how many tubers I get out of just 2. The okra is over here in the corner. I don't know if you can see it. There's no sun on it right now, but it's starting to put a bunch of fruit off, so I've eaten a couple meals off that. So from here out, I'm going to have plenty of okra. Next year, I think I might extend that a little bit and maybe even put some over here or around some other strip or around the yard. That grows really well in the yard. But all the flower bushes and such have done well. They've attracted a lot of bees in here that I normally don't get. The pole beans are starting to flower, so I think I'll have a bunch of beans off that. Pole beans are starting to go up my netting here. I got planted since the last video. And the bush beans on the ground. So I'll have plenty of okra and beans here shortly. So far this year has been great. I mean, I've got so much food coming out of this garden. I give it to my friends, neighbors, myself, the chickens, and I still have more than I can handle, that was my goal. It's nice to have more than you need, especially when you grow it yourself. I think I said it, but the pepper plants, I was having a little problem with them flowering, and once I got that Epsom salt, lime, and a little extra fertilizer on them, they really kicked into high gear and started putting me some fruit off. Even my ones that I just put in, I had some extra plants I just threw in the yard just to see what they would do. They're even starting to do pretty decent. That one's starting to load up with some jalapenos, and I get some sun here, but not a lot. That little cherry tomato plant, that was an extra one I threw in the corner here where I don't get much sun, but you can see it's loaded up with some little tomatoes. So I think I'll get a decent amount off that too. They just don't get as big, and they take a little longer. I ended up putting some beans in over there where my potatoes were. So I think next year, beans and potatoes over there is going to work well. That little had a red Russian pop up, and it's done well, just popping up out of the yard there. I must have dropped some seeds. And my dad gave me this owl. I was having some rabbits come over here and eat this area. This is just a little test plot, so I didn't really care, and I had so many beans. But I was down at my brother's, and my dad gave him and me an owl because he knew we had gardens. So I put it out here, and ever since I haven't had any problems with the rabbits. So that works really good with the rabbits. The front yard is doing good. I got 2 4x4s out there, and the tomato plants, once I get the nutrients under control, they really have taken off and loaded up. The Egyptian spinach out there is doing great. The Swiss chard and kale is all doing great. So that was a success. That was my first year on those. I'll try to get a video of that here shortly. But that's about it right now. Everything's growing well. There's some runner beans there going up that tree. I don't get many beans off of it, but the hummingbirds love those blooms. Plus it just fills in the backyard a little bit. I like planting those there just for aesthetics more than anything. The new chicken's still doing good. She started laying eggs, I think last video, and she's continued to do it. But their trip. I don't know where she is. Maybe she's in the... Oh, there she is. She's in there eating. Gnawing on a piece of corn or something I threw to her. But that's about it. 2015, July 18th. Muggy, hot North Carolina. But the garden's still going strong.